What if the most pivotal moment in history wasn't a rocket launch, a groundbreaking invention, or a single war, but a single night just to take the oath of office? A night that began with a mysterious letter appearing in his secured office. A night that led him to a secret meeting in Washington, D.C., uncovering a centuries-old plan involving humanity's greatest minds. As the world watched, unaware of the storm brewing behind the scenes, Musk faced questions that could shake the very foundation of the future. Would he sacrifice everything he built for a vision greater than himself? This isn't a story about technology or politics. It's about a man who had to decide if he could truly change the world again. Let us know which city or country you're watching from in the comments below. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button, because tomorrow we'll bring you another inspiring story crafted just for you. Chapter 1. The night before the inauguration. The night of January 18th, 2025, Elon Musk's mansion lay in an unusual silence, nestled in the quiet suburbs of Austin, Texas. Floor-to-ceiling glass walls reflected the dim starlight. Outside, ancient oak trees swayed in the wind, whispering secrets of the night. Yet inside this sprawling room, where everything from the furniture to the technology exuded perfection, the man hailed as the pioneer of humanity could not find peace. Elon sat at his desk, his eyes heavy yet unable to close. Before him was a computer screen filled with reports, charts, and detailed plans. These were the kinds of things that usually excited him, but tonight they only brought a sense of pressure. In just 2 days, Elon would take the oath of office as the head of the Government Efficiency and Reform Office, GERO, a position handpicked by the president-elect. He had laughed when he first heard the idea. Someone like me in government. It must be a joke. But now, that joke had become reality, and Elon knew this responsibility was heavier than any rocket he had ever launched into space. Am I even fit for this? The question echoed repeatedly in his mind, like an irritating tune that wouldn't stop. Will my bold ideas work in a place entrenched in bureaucracy and stagnation? Can I accomplish what no one has done before? He leaned back in his chair, his gaze fixed on the ceiling, where the light from a crystal chandelier painted intricate patterns, but the weight in his chest did not lift. Just then, a faint sound broke the silence. Click. Elon turned toward the door, his heart beating faster. No one could enter this room without passing through its state-of-the-art security system, a system he had designed himself. Yet the door stood still, with no sign of disturbance. He rose from his seat and walked toward his desk, and then he saw it. On the desk, amidst the pile of papers and notebooks, lay an envelope, a matte black envelope with no postage marks, no sender address, bearing only 2 words, Elon Musk. A mixture of curiosity and unease filled him as he picked up the envelope, his fingers brushing over its smooth but cold surface. He couldn't recall how it had gotten there, and that made him even more unsettled. Opening the envelope, he pulled out a card inside. The card was also jet black, but on it were silver letters shimmering under the light, written in elegant, deliberate handwriting. Elon Musk, you have created the unimaginable, but be cautious of what you are about to swear. The world doesn't just need innovation, it needs a steady hand capable of bearing the weight of truth. Never forget, sometimes the things you build can become burdens to yourself. Signed, the architect. Elon frowned, reading the words over and over. Who is the architect? And why deliver this message right before my inauguration? A chill ran down his spine. There was something about the words not quite a threat, but neither a simple encouragement. It felt like a warning, cloaked in mystery, both intriguing and haunting. He set the card down on the desk, but his eyes never left it. The room was so quiet he could hear the sound of his own heartbeat. He told himself he would check the security system immediately, but a part of him, the part that was always drawn to the unexplained, urged him to wait. The clock on the wall struck 2 a.m. Elon sat back in his chair, his hand gripping a pen. Sleep no longer crossed his mind. In his head, questions swirled like satellites orbiting an invisible planet. Who is the architect? Why send this letter? And more importantly, what does this warning mean? Outside the window, the moonlight dimmed as a dark cloud veiled the sky. Elon closed his eyes, but his mind refused to rest. This wasn't just an unusual night. It was the beginning of something far greater, and Elon knew that by the time dawn broke, he would no longer be the same man he was before. Chapter 2. The Second Letter. The dawn of January 19th, 2025, broke with the first rays of sunlight glinting off the transparent glass walls of the mansion, illuminating the quiet space inside. Elon Musk had risen early. The restless sleep from the night before left him with a strange feeling, and the mysterious letter signed the architect still haunted his thoughts. Elon walked into his office with a hot cup of coffee in hand. The soft glow of the automated lighting system gave the room a modern, fully equipped ambience. Everything seemed to be in its usual place, except for one thing. Right in the middle of his meticulously organized desk was another envelope. Elon stopped in his tracks, his heart tightening for a moment. The envelope was black, identical to the one he had received the night before. Despite the room being protected by an advanced security system, fingerprint scanners, facial recognition, heat sensors, the letter had appeared mysteriously. He set down his coffee, his hand trembling slightly as he picked up the envelope. It was heavier than the first one. This time the envelope not only bore his name but also had a small silver inscription. The answer lies not in what you've done, but in what you have yet to see. Elon opened the envelope and pulled out a card and a photograph. On the card, silver letters gleamed under the sunlight. You have created the unimaginable, cars that run without gasoline, ships that pierce through the atmosphere, and even direct connections between the human brain and machines. But have you ever wondered why everything still feels incomplete? There is a missing link in your journey. Find it before you take your oath. Otherwise, everything will collapse. Elon frowned, a mix of confusion and concern flashing in his eyes. The photograph that accompanied the card was an old image, depicting a workshop where engineers were working on a massive machine. He recognized the photo immediately. It was from the early days of the Hyperloop, a project that was one of the boldest he had ever undertaken, but also one that had been abandoned. The reason: disagreements between investors and himself over the long-term vision. Hyperloop, why are they bringing this up? Elon wondered. Beneath the photograph was another line, short but clear. Start where you left off. Elon placed the card back on the desk, staring at it as if searching for answers. The letter was not merely a message, it was a puzzle, and he despised puzzles without clear solutions. But what puzzled him even more was how this letter had appeared. He had checked the security system after the first letter. There were no signs of intrusion, nothing unusual. And now, another letter had surfaced, as if someone was deliberately challenging his sense of control. Elon picked up his phone and called the security team. I want a full review of the surveillance footage from last night, he said, his voice firm. Within minutes, one of his senior technicians arrived with the necessary equipment. They rewound the footage from midnight until morning, but nothing out of the ordinary appeared. No one entered the room, and no suspicious movements were detected. There's no sign of intrusion, Mr. Musk, the technician said, looking perplexed. No sign doesn't mean nothing happened, Elon replied, his gaze sharp. After the security team left, Elon returned to his desk. He picked up the photograph of the Hyperloop, turning it over in his hands. Memories from the project's early days flooded back. It was one of his wildest ideas, a high-speed transportation system that, if successful, could revolutionize how humanity moved forever. But it was also a project that had spiraled out of his control. Is the architect suggesting that I missed something? Elon wondered. Setting the photograph aside, he flipped the card over and noticed a small symbol in the lower corner, a strange emblem resembling a gear inside a triangle. Elon was certain he had never seen this symbol before. There was no further explanation, no additional clue, but this letter had ignited something within him, not just curiosity, but determination. Elon stood, his gaze resolute. If there was a missing link, he would find it, And this time, it wouldn't be for fame or personal success, but for the responsibility he was about to swear to uphold for the entire world. Outside, the sun had risen high in the sky, but a part of him knew that the real journey was only just beginning. Chapter 3. The Mysterious Journey. On the night of January 19th, 2025, while the United States focused on the historic inauguration of Elon Musk, the next day he was preparing for an entirely different journey. Inside the second envelope he had received that morning, alongside the card and the Hyperloop photograph, there was a mysterious address in Washington, D.C., scribbled on the back of the photo. 1245 Meridian Avenue, D.C. No building name, no explanation, just a simple address. Elon knew this trip was not part of the carefully planned schedule. His security team and advisors vehemently opposed his request to arrange a late-night flight to Washington. "Mr. Musk, tomorrow is your inauguration. This is no time to take risks," one senior staff member said, their voice full of concern. Elon silently looked at them, his sharp gaze cutting through the room, and replied firmly, "If I don't do this, everything I swear to tomorrow will be meaningless." He offered no further explanation. Around 11 p.m., Elon's limousine pulled up in front of 1245 Meridian Avenue. It was an old, weather-weathered building tucked away among the modern architecture of D.C. Its walls of grey, worn bricks and tall, narrow windows were shielded by thick curtains, hiding the interior from view. "Is this where you want to go?" the driver asked, his voice tinged with doubt. Elon nodded without a word, his eyes fixed on the large wooden door ahead. There were no signs, no welcoming lights. Only a small emblem etched into the door, a gear within a triangle, the exact symbol he had seen on the card in the second letter. Elon stepped out of the car, ignoring the anxious glances of his security team waiting nearby. The door creaked open as Elon pushed it, revealing a dimly lit space inside. The atmosphere was steeped in an eerie solemnity, with walls lined with ancient bookshelves, and the glow of oil lamps accentuating the dust that clung to the aged tomes. "Welcome, Elon Musk." The voice came from the far end of the room, halting Elon in his tracks. A group of 7 people stood in a circle. They wore simple, understated clothing, yet their presence exuded a quiet authority. Each held something in their hands, a blueprint, a book, or an artifact that Elon couldn't identify. "Who are you?" Elon asked, his tone calm, though his eyes betrayed a sharp vigilance. An elderly man with silver hair and piercing eyes stepped forward. "We are the keepers of vision. We have been following your path for a long time, Elon Musk. And tonight, we've been waiting for you to arrive, for a reason." Elon frowned. "You've been following me?" "Not following," a woman in the group interjected, her voice steady and commanding. "We've been expecting you. We knew that one day you would come here." Elon smirked faintly, crossing his arms. "So what do you want? I have an inauguration tomorrow, and I don't have time for games." The elderly man shook his head. "The inauguration is merely the tip of the iceberg, Elon. The role you are about to assume isn't just about reforming a government. It will determine the course of humanity in this century. And you, Elon Musk, are the final link we have been waiting for through generations." Elon stood silently, his eyes scanning each person in the group. "I don't understand. The final link. What do you mean?" The elderly man lifted a thick, weathered leather book. He opened it, revealing intricate sketches, machine designs, energy schematics, and strange mathematical equations. "These designs come from the great minds that preceded you," he explained. "From Nikola Tesla, Albert Einstein, to others whose names history has yet to record. They each left behind pieces of a legacy, but none of them could complete it. Their vision was never fulfilled until you came along." Elon leaned in, examining the book. He immediately recognized many of the sketches as foundational ideas for modern technologies, including some that had shaped his own companies. The woman stepped forward, her voice firm yet compelling. "You're not just a creator, Elon Musk. You're the one who can connect these ideas, transforming dreams once thought impossible into reality. But there is one missing piece you have yet to find, and that missing piece will change everything." Elon raised his head, his gaze cold but filled with curiosity. "So what do I need to do?" The elderly man smiled faintly. "We will show you. But first you must answer this. Are you willing to sacrifice everything to complete this vision, even if it means giving up what you hold most dear?" The room fell into a heavy silence. Elon felt as if time itself had paused. And in that moment he realized he had entered a world unlike anything he had known before, a world that demanded not just innovation, but also courage and unyielding determination. "All right," he said, his voice low but resolute. "Show me." Chapter 4. The Story of the Keepers of Vision. The atmosphere in the ancient room seemed frozen in time. Elon Musk stood at the center of a circle formed by the group, calling themselves the Keepers of Vision. His eyes swept over each face, trying to decipher the hidden depths behind their gazes. This was no game, he knew that much. But who they were, and why they insisted he was the chosen one, remained a mystery he needed to unravel. The elderly man holding the leather-bound book stepped forward. He opened it, revealing pages yellowed with age, filled with intricate designs and detailed notes. The handwriting, sketches, and formulas seemed to carry the essence of multiple eras. "Elon Musk," he began, his deep voice resonating like that of a seasoned storyteller. "What we are about to share may stretch the boundaries of logic, but you, more than anyone, will understand. We are not just a group of individuals. We are a part of history, fragmented pieces connected by a common mission, to preserve and complete humanity's vision." The man turned page after page, and with each turn, a vivid story from the past came to life. The greatest ideas do not emerge from thin air. They are the culmination of centuries of thought, creativity, and courage. Nikola Tesla, he was not just a scientist but a visionary who dreamed of a future where energy was freely available to everyone. Yet he was thwarted by greed and the ignorance of his time. The image of Tesla flashed through Elon's mind, a misunderstood genius, dying in obscurity. "And then there was Albert Einstein," the woman continued, her voice soft but commanding. "He unlocked the doors to an entirely new world through the theory of relativity. But he also realized that his discoveries could be misused, a regret that haunted him for the rest of his life." Elon felt a wave of emotion rise within him. He deeply understood the plight of visionaries trapped between their ideas and the reality in which they lived when their creations could be distorted by the hands of others. "People like them," the elderly man resumed, "left behind crucial pieces of the puzzle, but no one has ever been able to connect them all into a complete picture. We, the Keepers of Vision, have existed to protect these fragments through the ages, waiting for someone who could finally turn them into reality." Elon crossed his arms, his gaze sharp. "And you think I'm that person?" "We don't think we know," the woman replied. "What you've accomplished proves it. You are not just a creator, Elon Musk. You are someone who dares to dream big and turns those dreams into reality, defying the limitations imposed by society." The elderly man held up the book. "These designs, these ideas, did not lead to your era by coincidence. You are the final link in this chain, Elon. And your role in government isn't merely about reforming bureaucracy. It is the beginning of something far greater, a plan to shape the future of all humanity." Elon felt his palms grow damp. The weight of their words was unlike anything he had ever experienced. "So, what is this great plan?" The elderly man was silent for a few seconds before answering. "It is salvation. We are standing on the brink of a global crisis, Elon. Technology, politics, and the environment are all nearing their breaking points. Without radical change, humanity will not survive this century. Your role is to ensure that doesn't happen." Elon frowned. "And you think I can achieve that just by reforming government?" The woman shook her head, a faint smile crossing her lips. "Not by reforming, but by inspiring. Government is only the first step. You will ignite a larger movement, a global vision. But to do so, you must understand that every decision you make will not only affect the present, but also determine the future." The tension in the room thickened. The elderly man locked eyes with Elon, his voice dropping into a grave tone. "But remember this, All chosen ones must pay a price. Greatness demands sacrifice. Elon stood silent, a flicker of determination sparking in his eyes. I've sacrificed my entire life for ideas. If this is what I need to do to secure humanity's future, I'm ready. The keepers of vision exchanged glances as if evaluating his resolve. Finally, the elderly man nodded. Good. But before you embark on this mission, you must fully understand the missing link. And to find it, you must face one final challenge. The room trembled slightly, and a hidden door in the wall slid open, revealing a long hallway bathed in soft light. Step through that door, Elon Musk, the woman said. If you are truly ready to change the future, the answer awaits you on the other side. Elon took a deep breath, his eyes fixed firmly on the mysterious hallway ahead. He didn't know what awaited him beyond, but one thing was certain. This was no longer just a task. It was a mission that would shape the entire world. Then show me, he said, stepping through the door, ready to confront the final challenge. Chapter 5. The Final Test. Elon stepped through the door, his eyes narrowing against the blinding light of the hallway. The door behind him closed with a resonating thud, like a bell signaling that he had entered a different world, one from which there was no return. In front of him was a large, circular room, its walls glowing with a soft, ethereal light. At the center of the room stood a round glass table, completely empty except for a small black cube at its core. The 7 members of the Keepers of Vision stood evenly spaced around the table, their gazes sharp but filled with patient expectation. Elon Musk, the elderly man began, his voice steady and commanding. You have proven that you can surpass the limits of physics and technology. But to truly become the one who connects everything, you must face the final test. It is not a scientific problem, nor an experiment, it is a test of thought and ethics. Elon frowned. What is this test? The woman stepped forward, extending her hand toward the black cube. As she touched it, a holographic screen flickered to life above the table, displaying an image of a bustling city teeming with skyscrapers, traffic, and streams of people moving like rivers. This is the scenario, she explained. The city is facing an imminent disaster. A nuclear explosion will occur within 24 hours unless it is stopped. Elon listened intently, his eyes locked on the images projected in the air. You have 2 choices, the elderly man continued. 1. You can activate the defense system, but doing so will result in the deaths of thousands in the surrounding area people who will be affected by the shock waves and radiation. 2. You can do nothing, and the entire city, including millions of lives, will be wiped out. The room fell silent. The question hung heavy in the air, an invisible weight pressing on Elon's shoulders. Are you willing to sacrifice a few to save the many? The woman asked, her piercing gaze boring into him. Elon remained silent for several minutes, his eyes fixed on the holographic cityscape. He was no stranger to difficult situations, but this test was different. It wasn't about technology or business, it was a decision involving human lives. This is a trap, Elon finally said, breaking the silence. The 7 individuals exchanged glances, a flicker of surprise crossing their faces. What kind of trap? The elderly man asked. Elon pointed at the holographic screen. You're trying to make me believe there are only 2 choices, sacrifice a small group or let everyone die. But in every problem, there's always another way. A third solution that no one has considered. The woman raised an eyebrow, intrigued. And you think you can find it? That's what I do, Elon replied, his voice calm but brimming with confidence. Elon stepped closer to the hologram, studying the city and its surrounding areas in detail. This disaster is nuclear, he began. That means the shock waves and radiation will follow physical conditions. If we can change those conditions, we can mitigate the damage. He requested additional data, wind speeds, population density, and the exact location of the surrounding areas. As the group provided the information, Elon began formulating a plan in his mind. We don't need to activate the defense system immediately, Elon said. Instead, we can deploy a fleet of drones or airborne devices to create an artificial vacuum zone around the surrounding area, slowing the shock waves and directing the radiation to an uninhabited region. The elderly man looked thoughtful. You're talking about controlling shock waves and radiation in a way no one has ever attempted before. Exactly, Elon confirmed. The technology we have today is capable of achieving this. We just need to combine existing solutions in a creative way. The room grew quiet as Elon finished presenting his solution. One member of the group whispered something to the person next to them, and nods of agreement spread throughout the circle. The elderly man finally nodded. Elon Musk, you have passed the final test. And now, you are not just a part of history, you are the one who will define its future. So, what happens now? Elon asked, his voice steady but his eyes alight with determination. The elderly man smiled, gesturing toward another door that slowly opened in the wall. Now, Elon Musk, you are ready to change the world. Chapter 6. The Inauguration. January 20th, 2025, Washington, D.C. was filled with anticipation and excitement. On the National Mall, millions of people gathered, their eyes fixed on the grand stage where Elon Musk was about to take the oath of office. Billions more around the world were glued to their screens, waiting to witness the moment when one of the most iconic figures of the era would step into a completely new role, the head of the Government Efficiency and Reform Office, GERO. Elon stood in the room behind the stage, his eyes gazing out the window at the cheering crowd. He felt the weight of each passing second, not because of the public's expectations, but because of everything he had experienced in the past 2 days. The mysterious letters, the meeting with the keepers of vision, and the final test of ethics, all of it had transformed how he saw himself and his responsibilities. Bigger questions lingered in his mind. Am I truly the person they're looking for? Do I have what it takes to lead humanity through this time of crisis? He recalled the warning from the elderly man in the group. Your role is not just to reform government. It will define the future of all humanity. It wasn't just encouragement, it was a mission he couldn't turn away from. When his name was announced, Elon stepped onto the stage with a confident yet composed stride. The crowd roared, their cheers washing over the space like waves of sound. He scanned the audience, his gaze sweeping across the expectant faces before settling on the cameras, the eyes of billions watching worldwide. After taking the oath with precise formality, Elon approached the microphone. The crowd fell silent, waiting for his first speech in his new role. Ladies and gentlemen, he began, his deep, clear voice resounding across the mall. Today is not just a day I assume responsibility, it is the day we begin a new journey together. A journey that will not only change how government operates but also transform how we, as humanity, confront our greatest challenges. He paused, his eyes connecting with the crowd as though addressing each individual. In the past few days, he continued, I've thought deeply about the role I am about to take on. I know many of you are skeptical. Can someone like me, a businessman, an engineer, truly reform a system that has existed for centuries? But today I stand here to tell you this. We will not just reform. We will redefine how we govern and how we build our society. Elon unfolded a small binder in front of him and began to lay out his plan, a vision unlike anything the public had ever heard before. We will place technology at the heart of transparency, he declared. Every financial transaction, every policy, every critical decision will be recorded on a national blockchain platform open for all to see. No more hidden agendas. No more bureaucratic delays that waste time and resources. The crowd erupted in applause, but Elon didn't stop. He continued, explaining how artificial intelligence would be integrated to optimize administrative processes and how policies would not only aim for efficiency but also prioritize compassion at their core. Government is not just a machine, he said, his voice imbued with emotion. It is an institution that serves people. And our mission is not to create more rules but to remove barriers so that every citizen can live a life of freedom and meaning. But to achieve this, he said, I must acknowledge that I cannot do it alone. There are people, great minds, who have come before us. They left behind ideas and legacies that I am fortunate enough to inherit. And today I stand here not just for myself, but for them, for a greater vision, for a future that we will build together. The crowd was silent, not from a lack of emotion, but because they were captivated by his words. Who were the great minds Elon was referring to? Where were they? And why had he chosen to mention them during such a pivotal moment? Elon offered no further explanation. He smiled faintly, stepping back from the microphone, leaving an atmosphere of curiosity and exhilaration in his wake. When the ceremony concluded, Elon returned to the room behind the stage. He sat down in a chair, loosened his tie, and stared into the mirror in front of him. The words of the keepers of vision echoed in his mind. What you do will determine not only the present but the future. On his desk, another envelope had been placed. No one knew where it had come from. On it, there was only one sentence. The real journey has only just begun. Elon picked up the envelope, a faint smile crossing his lips. He knew that his greatest challenge wasn't the speech he had just delivered, it was what awaited him beyond this moment. So, he murmured to himself, let's begin. Elon is not a flawless hero, and that is precisely why he was chosen. Greatness does not stem from never making mistakes, but from daring to rise, taking responsibility, and doing what the world has never dared to imagine. This inauguration is not the end, it is the beginning of a journey in which all of us, in every moment of history, are a part. If this story has touched your heart, we'd love for you to help spread this message by clicking like and sharing it with your friends. Help us reach our first milestone of 1,000 subscribers. It truly means a lot to us, and will allow us to bring you more meaningful stories. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next story.